Hello, hello, hello! Welcome everybody to another fantastic fireside chat for the European Cardano community. We are very excited to have you there, guys.
Hello, good evening, friends.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi,
Everyone.
Marcus.
Hey, James. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Marcus. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Oh, Michele, another fellow Italian from Cardano Link. Ciao, Michele. Stanislav, welcome.
You guys. This is awesome.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Stanislav. How are you? Welcome.
Oh, both. Yeah, nice. Both.
You can do the French part today.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic. We need one.
I will join it. I can speak French as well.
Oh, really?
Great.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Very, very good.
I'm really looking forward to this today. This is a wonderful one. I mean, we've got the whole spectrum, I think. This is going to be great.
Very cool. I think we can start with the slides, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's start with the global Cardano community mantra, our revised version with many languages. So it creates a lot of confusion and usually it's a mess, but it's so fun like this. So, benvenuti all'esperimento.
Boss,
Boa.
this is you. Read it.
Les choses pour un.
Don't take it away.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it, do it.
Do it.
He did twice.
Yeah, if you would only let him speak.
It's fine. Okay. Quebrar, fehlende Dokumentation.
Differ greatly between iterations.
Disorient, overload, and inspire. Who's going to do the long one?
James, come on.
Yeah.
Our goal is to provide I believe that's safe and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential de la colaboración humana.
Nice, thank you. We need
Yay.
somebody from Greece to read that word next time.
All right. Good. Now we have an internal mantra.
Yes, but first let's talk about Project Catalyst, guys. Today was the last day for finalizing the proposals. So if you have a proposal in Catalyst, I wish you all the luck. I hope that the changes that we had will help us a lot and we don't have the mess we had in Fontaine. And please per vote for our proposal that you can see in your screen. That's very nice. Also, Marcus has a very nice proposal. Look for Larissa Health, and if you don't mind, also look for Rookies My Game. That would be great. But we also have a local mantra for European Cardano community that usually Marcus will read because it's the author of this beautiful text.
In parts. Keep your notes up to date. Without that, we wouldn't be running. Try or study or learn. Try to study or learn something new every day. Support and connect with community members for synergy and goals. We're all here for that. Be inclusive, friendly, and wise with words, even in anger. That's Catalyst. Keep it there. Share information without destroying dreams, people, or their reputation. And as Davide already said, you might not know it, but European Cardano community is not our day job. It's not what we do the whole day. We all have our own projects, and we would really appreciate if you could support us on that way as well. Join Davide's server in Discord, for example, with Rookies. Hop onto Ricardo's website with Web3 user group for education around the Web3 space. And if you like what I'm doing, support me with delegating to the birth stake pool. You will find all the information regarding the projects that presented today for the speakers and our projects down below in the video description. Now let's have fun.
Yes. So we also host not only our town halls, fireside chats here on Zoom, but we have many different Twitter spaces, X spaces now in different languages for European community. So we had Spanish one, Croatian one, Greek one, Italian twice this month, and we'll have another one before Christmas. So if anybody want to host a space in different languages, French, German, Portuguese, whatever, please get in contact with us because we are very eager to do that. It will be fantastic to expand this initiative and make more people aware of Cardano also Nox. That would be amazing. It's
And
part
if you
of
have
our
a certain
mission.
topic, jump in as well. For example, we have Mladen from Rumor Stake Pool, who is hosting once a month on EU Cardano a interview with a stake pool operator so that you can get known to the personality behind the technology. And he has the same podcast twice a week on his own Twitter profile. So reach out to us or reach out to him if you want to join something like that. Or if you have something, if you're an educator like James, for example, then hop on and say, hey, I want to tell the community in a easy, casual atmosphere in our Twitter space something that I know. You're always welcome.
Yeah. For example, last time we had Michele that's here with us talking about his stake pool and his project. It was a very interesting event.
Very
But
cool.
let's go forward. Today we have amazing guests. Usually we have more than usual because we have 4 today instead of the usual 3. And we would like to start with Gimbalabs.
Hey, James, welcome.
Take
Take
it
it
away,
away.
James.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thanks for this space. So what is the idea that we share out a little bit and then have a little conversation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally easy.
Yeah, so
Great.
friendly chat, talk whatever you want.
We usually have about 15 minutes or so. If you need a little bit more, that's fine, but not too long because we all have the family thingy. And
Absolutely. No, I want to honor all guests today. But yeah,
exactly.
my name is James. I'm one of the co-founders of Gimbalabs. The other founders are over in Europe. Julie Montag is in Germany. Roberto C. Morano is in Spain. And we all met during funds 1 and 2 of Project Catalyst back in late 2020, early 21. My intention from the beginning was to see if blockchain and especially decentralized and distributed governance had anything to say about our outdated education systems. And so I come to this first and foremost as a teacher who hopes that this new technology will have a positive impact on global education systems. But the way to figure out if all of that was true was to start looking at education through the lens of this new ecosystem. So the advent of a new programming language or a whole ecosystem of smart contract programming languages on Cardano is a great chance to test some educational ideas. And so that's what we've been doing for the last few years. Gimbalabs provides community infrastructure, in particular, the technical infrastructure of Dandelion, which runs under the hood of a lot of applications running on Cardano, and then in terms of education and community infrastructure. So if I don't show up here as often as I would like to, that's why we host community meetings as well and give people a chance to interact with new potential collaborators. The name here is dear to me. A gimbal is a balancing device. If you've ever seen a gyroscope, for example, with those 3 rotating rings, each of those rings is called a gimbal. These are used for navigation. This is why satellites are able to orbit the Earth. This is inside of all of our phones to keep photographs steady. But what's cool about gimbals is one of Girolamo Cardano, he was a 16th century mathematician. One of his claims to fame is that he mathematically specified the gimbal and named it. So often you'll hear about gimbals referred to as cardan suspensions. And so that's why we're called Gimbalabs. We wanted to have a deep naming connection to this ecosystem where we admire a lot of the names that have been chosen for the native token and for different eras and all of that. So that's Gimbalabs. We've been providing a free course called Plutus PBL for the last few years. I recognize some folks here, you've been through that course or at least checked it out. And that's provided a lot of opportunities. One is to deliver on that initial question of whether this technology has anything to say about education. But the other is that it's helped us to prototype on-chain tooling to support our goals. And what's really exciting right now, we've been really deep in development work. One of my closest collaborators, Nelson, is here on the call. Sebastian is here. He's been leading community engagement and really spearheading our tokenomics research. But we've been building a tool called Andamio. Andamio is a Spanish word. It means scaffold or scaffolding. And scaffolding is one of the educational concepts that is dearest to my heart. It basically says the role of the educator, the role of the leader, is to make themselves irrelevant and then to get out of the way. What's your job as a teacher? It's to provide scaffolding, a temporary structure, so that more enduring structures can be built. If, as an educator, I make myself indisposable, I haven't done my job. If kids are going to keep needing me, if students are going to keep needing me beyond the time they're in my class, I haven't done my job. Scaffolding, right? And gradually we remove scaffolding so that people can run their own projects, build their own organizations. So this project is called Andiamo. Excuse me, I just made a mistake. And we do this a lot. Andiamo, of course, is the Italian word for let's go. And so we have a multilingual slogan, Andiamo, Andamio, let's go scaffold. So we've been playing with this language, but really this concept of scaffolding is near and dear. It's a two-sided platform that handles learner management and contributor onboarding. And we make three core assumptions as we dig into this work. I was going to name them in order, but the third one actually relates to kind of the principles that y'all shared at the start of this presentation. Learn something new every day. We believe that in a life well lived, people are learning all the time. And that, for a lot of the times we think about the means or the ends. I believe that learning every day is an end in itself, and a life well lived is going to involve doing that. We also believe that everybody wants to make meaningful contributions to impactful projects, and we believe that organizations want contributors who want to make an impact. And so we're really trying to build the on-chain tooling that allows people to learn what they need to make impactful contributions, and then using this revolutionary technology, this blockchain we're building on, to build up a record of where they've contributed and what they've learned over time. So that's been the main focus that the Gimbalabs team and the Andamio team have had for the last few months. We have 2 Catalyst proposals. I can grab those links and share them in the chat. But yeah, that's pretty much the story. What questions does that raise for everybody here?
We will post the links also below the video. So
Thank you.
when we share it around, and people will see that. So first of all, I have to apologize because when Dandelion came out and was posted on Twitter, I was answering immediately, but hey, there's Koyos. And I think Dandelion, from what I understand now, is based on Koyos, but it adds so much more to it. Maybe you could explain what is Koyos, where does Dandelion sit, and what is the connection? So somebody who's trying to get into the ecosystem, developing, doesn't have it to find from somewhere else.
Great question. Okay, so you've heard of Block Frost as well, and we know there's a lot of information on chain that needs to be parsed in useful ways so that applications can be built on top of Cardano. Okay, you don't get all of the app relevant information you need directly from querying the blockchain itself. But there are tools that help us get all of that historical data, all of the additional metadata, for example, about transactions that have happened. From the beginning, there's been a tool called Cardano DB Sync. Any stake pool operator is familiar with that. And it's a challenging tool to set up, both from the hardware requirements of running it, the time it takes, and just getting all the configuration right is a non-trivial task. And then even once you have a DB sync set up, you're still only halfway there. That information needs to be organized from raw DB data to something useful for an application. So other tools emerge. IOG originally built a GraphQL server. It's one of my favorite ways to query the blockchain because it is open-ended and you can customize it to any needs. But one of the biggest weaknesses with it is that it really doesn't scale so well. And so we do a lot of teaching with GraphQL, but we know it's not really the appropriate tool for all production level applications. So now you have BlockFrost. What does BlockFrost do? It gives you an opinionated set of endpoints that deliver us the data we need. And you can read through those documents to see what BlockFrost provides. Koios provides something similar, and it's more of an open source, just free to the community project that people can draw on anytime. It's still there. You can go to koios.rest to see that. I recommend reading those docs. Koios is doing some work to figure out how they're going to become sustainable. Like a lot of community service providers, that's the biggest challenge still ahead of us. A lot of us thought that Catalyst was built to support that kind of community work. Empirically, it's not yet. I hope that changes, but we're not there yet to the point where Catalyst is supporting critical infrastructure. So with all of these options, the fact remains that we talk about decentralization all the time. We talk about distributing our applications, and that's what Dandelion is built to do. All it is, and I'll grab a link to that as well and drop, we have a public repo just of the Dandelion scripts. All it is a Kubernetes deployment of all of these tools we're talking about. So it doesn't save you all the time of setting up DB sync, but it does make it a bit easier. And anybody who knows about Docker and Kubernetes is going to be able to move pretty quickly to deploying a DB sync or a GraphQL instance. But where it gets really interesting is that through Dandelion, you can also deploy your own Koios instance. And through Dandelion, you can even deploy your own BlockFrost instance. BlockFrost open sourced the majority of their platform about a year ago. And Roberto added that to the Dandelion deployment. So through that, you can actually spin up and serve your own instance of all of these tools that we're talking about. And the long-term goal is we recognize that specialized indexers or microservices that are not on chain but are chain adjacent, it's going to be really nice to have distributed services for that kind of thing. That's been the vision for Dandelion from the beginning. We're a little bit stalled on that right now because of funding problems, but the vision remains, and we're hoping to come around to that.
James, I would have a question. Thank you for joining today. It is related to these new programming languages that are starting to be used more and more. One example is, for example, Aiken or Aiken. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. How do you see that this new additions to the developer ecosystem are complementing what you guys are doing, or in which relationship are those? How do you see that?
This, the welcome slide for this presentation says it all, right? We are a pluralistic world, and ideally we're going to stay that way, right? There's a lot of people coexisting, a lot of governance models and state models coexisting in the world right now. Ideally, if Cardano is going to actually be a global operating system, there has to be many languages for interacting with it. So Aiken is a competitor to Plutus, right? Plutus TX is the first smart contract programming language on the Cardano blockchain. Aiken is another one. There's several more: Helios, PluTS, Option. Maybe you've heard of some of these. And what could be more exciting than knowing that we have now this variety of different smart contract languages?
Yeah.
If I start going into comparing and contrasting them, it'll take up the rest of this session. But it's a really exciting thing that different people are approaching these problems from different angles. And hopefully this model is applied to other parts of the ecosystem. For example, if you want to run a Cardano node, you have one option right now. You have the original one.
Yeah.
But it would be really nice if the node was implemented in as many languages as possible. That's a hard thing to do, but we should aspire to it.
But wouldn't these all just be wrappers?
Oh, great question. Okay. You can build a wrapper to make app development accessible to more builders.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have done that. For example, Cardano CLI is a great tool. And if I just wrap it in Python, I can get a lot done very quickly.
Yeah.
But I think we miss out on some of the benefits and some of the resiliency because those wrappers are still depending upon some underlying tools.
Exactly.
And this is actually one of the big bottlenecks of development right now is that the original Cardano serialization library, which is used in a lot of applications, but it's abstracted a layer or two below where developers are actually interacting. It's not as good as it could be, and it hasn't gotten quite the support that it needs to endure for the long term, right? So we need a new serialization library under the hood. I've heard tell that work is happening. I'm not allowed to talk about it. Too bad. But apparently there are solutions coming our way soon with new versions of the serialization library. That's going to make a lot of things easier. And that's really what we want, right? All the way down, as close to the blockchain as possible, we want native solutions. Why? Because that's going to make the whole ecosystem more resilient.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Final question before we have to go on. If somebody wants to start with Plutus, then there's different options. Would you say, I know the answer, but would you say hop in right away into the Gimbalabs way, or would you say get familiar with the other videos on YouTube first and then start with the Gimbalabs way? What is a good
Oh
path?
man, everybody has a different learning style, right? And there's if you can learn things by reading documentation, go. You're right. There is great documentation out there. We know that the founding entities are building some great content that kind of fits the old world educational model, right? If you're able to sit there and listen to somebody talk and learn something, more power to you. Those resources have also been released. We're building our content in a way that's built to serve everybody else. So if you find that what's out there doesn't work yet, we are really focused first and foremost on helping people build up the mental models they need for the rest of these systems to make sense. We've not, like, if you don't know what a transaction is and what a UTXO is, it's going to be really, really hard to do pretty much anything else.
Yeah.
So we go deep into those concepts first. How? Not by telling you, by showing you how to set up a basic environment where you can look at UTXOs one by one, right? In a way that your NAMI wallet doesn't show you, right? And once you see that, sometimes that's all people need. Some people, they get those basics from the courses that we're building and they say, oh, thank you very much. Now I can run with this. I get it now, right? And if that's the way it works, we're stoked about that. And if people want to keep going and learn bit by bit how different components fit together, we've got the content for that.
Thank you so much.
That's great, indeed.
Thank you so
Guys,
much.
yeah, thanks for this chance to get together and talk. It's really nice to be here.
I hope we can have you again in the future. It will be amazing. There is so many topics that we can discuss.
Anytime. Yeah, this
Fantastic.
is, I'll be happy to make it a regular thing. That sounds great.
Oh, fantastic, James. Thank you very much.
And
Thanks,
there's one thing I have to add from my personal perspective, but I think most people can relate. Every space that you have been carries a positive vibe, and that's a huge thing to accomplish. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marcus. What else is there? I mean, yeah, what in heaven's name are we here for if not to, come on, live well. Good vibes.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Stanislav from zkFold
Yes.
Hi, guys.
now we don't see it. Oh yeah, we see it. I didn't see it. Okay, cool. Stage is yours. I think that's a perfect transition here. And then we hop over to Joseph after that.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. So for those who doesn't know me, I'm a co-founder of zkFold, and the founder is Vladimir. He's also founder of another project, Coins, on Cardano. And they went mainnet a few days ago, I think a week ago. Yes, exactly, a week ago. So zkFold is all about layer 1 and layer 2 scalability solutions on Cardano. And probably know that we started 6 months ago, a bit more 7 months ago. We met with Vladimir a year ago on one of the biggest Cardano summits here in Lausanne. It was last year. And then a few months later, he decided to improve the tools they have on Cardano. And we decided to assemble the team and to build something really, really interesting. So to prove the team is capable of doing something exciting, we decided to participate on Emurgo Build Hackathon, and we won the hackathon. That was a good sign for us, meaning that community needs these kind of products and ideas. And the second main point, we achieved that we proved ourselves that we can work as a team. The team knows how to build, we know what to build, and how to work as a team. That was a really, really good example. Then as a next step, we became a partner with Genius X Accelerator. We have been selected as a top 10 finalist to participate in Dubai a month ago in the Cardano Summit. And there we took the 3rd place in the first ever Battle of the Builders. So that was really important achievement for us. For those who doesn't know what we exactly we're building, we have several products in our pipeline. The first one is zkFold Symbolic. That's a programming language for writing more complex zero-knowledge smart contracts on Cardano. That's a high-level functional language, subset of Haskell. So simply saying, that's a tool for developers which they can use to create more complex smart contracts with reduced fees and increased throughput. So basically, you can pack more data into one transaction thanks to this product. Then the second product, and basically we recently released a demo version of this product. We completed almost 50% of this product. And the next product is zkFold Wrapper. That's extended version of the first one. And that's a set of tools to create zk smart contracts in other Cardano on-chain languages. For example, Icon or Plutarch. We completed around 25% of the second product. And our main product and the third one is zkFold Rollups. So that's a layer 2 solution for Cardano. So it shares the same zk proof verification contract as the main product, one of the main products, zkFold Symbolic. And it enables compatibility between layer 1 and layer 2 smart contracts. So step by step, we are moving towards our goal. We also submitted 3 proposals for Fund 11. So feel free to review them, comment, and of course, vote.
And add the links here too, and then we can post it underneath the video.
Will do.
Thank you so much. Also for wrapping it down for non-technical people. Maybe for those who don't know, why do you need zk rollups or zk snarks, or what are they, and why would you need them, and how is the size comparable to the regular metadata size that you can put into a transaction?
Good question. So we selected Cardano to build on Cardano for a number of good reasons. And while we were discovering all the benefits of Cardano, we noticed that there are some drawbacks at the same time. And answering your question, transaction costs are expensive for some of the use cases, and it's simply not possible to create a project simply because of this. Then the second problem we're trying to solve is storage. We will post less data on chain. And for some of the use cases, there are certain restrictions to create more complex smart contracts, meaning that it's not possible to create a certain project simply because of these restrictions. And with the products we build, we're trying to solve all these 3 issues. That means we will open a possibility to create completely new and different level projects on Cardano. So that's a chicken and egg question, I would say. So the projects are not there because of missing infrastructure, and we're building this, we're addressing this gap for the infrastructure to make sure that these projects will become available on Cardano, and that will make Cardano more interesting for greater number of projects, I would say.
Would you, if I may add another question, would you, for a developer that starts now, would you say your solution is something where one could use PII, personal identifiable information, into a transaction or something like that? Or would you say, no, this is still something for a verified credential?
Good question. I don't know how to answer it correctly. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Then we have something to follow up.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I think, James, you have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stanislav, this is exciting. Great answer to that last question, by the way. Perfect. How do you see the relationship of zkFold to what's rolling out with Midnight right now?
It's something different. Yes, you can see some similarities between Midnight and what we are building. If I understand it correctly, because Vladimir, the founder, is the more technical person, but I will answer your question from kind of a business perspective, right? So Midnight is focusing on privacy, and we're focusing on scalability. So that's the main difference between zkFold and Midnight.
It's a great place to start. If you guys ever want to come demo tech for our learners in a live coding session, we'd love to have you. Be sure to reach out.
Thank you, James.
Stanislav, first of all, thank you for joining us and explaining to the audience what you guys are doing. If we could spend 3-4 minutes sharing your personal journey into the crypto space, and maybe you could also tell the story how you ended up in Cardano. What is the path leading you there?
So it started a long time ago. So I have a business background, and I spent around 12 years working in different companies, pharma companies here in Switzerland, in other countries as well, in IT projects. So I speak both languages, technical language and business language, and I'm acting as a link and chain between those two different worlds, right? And that's where my advantage was. So I can link those two. So I can see how to apply certain technology to a business and how business can benefit from a certain technology. And when I met Vladimir, we immediately saw that, okay, he's a technical person, I'm a business person. We can talk to each other and we understand, we can basically work as a team, right? To add up missing knowledge and gaps and learn from each other. So in terms of blockchain, how I ended up with the blockchain. So I started learning about blockchain 6 years ago. I was just curious to know about new technology, how does it work, all the benefits and so on. Started investing a little bit into cryptocurrencies. And then just, I think a year ago, a little bit more, that I decided to move completely to a different area, which is a blockchain. And then that's how we started collaborating with Vladimir and ended up with the zkFold company here in Switzerland.
Okay, cool. Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing those insights as well.
Thank you.
And I like two things about this. The first thing is we have accomplished our goal. We connected to projects, or whether you connected to each other, and that is wonderful. That's what we're here for. And maybe we can get some more out of it today even. And the second one is you're just building and you're sharing the information. And I think what you did today is inspiring others, and those people that will watch the video, they have learned about what James is doing, they learn about what you do. And thank you so much for joining. And that was wonderful.
Thank you,
Please.
Marcus.
Cooperation is of paramount importance in our environment. Not everybody grasps it, but it is like this. We should cooperate more and connect more.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I agree with you.
Anytime, feel invited. Anytime. So with that, if there's no other question, I would think we should go to Joseph.
Yeah. Let me, okay. Sorry for the confusion. Yes, Joseph, we are very excited to have you here. Please talk to us, tell us a little bit more what you are doing, what are your project based on.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm a professional novelist by trade. I've been writing novels since 2001. I wrote my first novel in college on a bet to win a case of beer. And that went in a shoebox. And my wife found it after we got married, convinced me to try to submit it. Simon & Schuster bought it in 2001, and that kicked off my career. Since then, I've published 67 novels. I've hit the New York Times and USA Today bestseller list here in the States. Overseas, I've hit the Der Spiegel list 3 times in Germany. I've been on the Polish bestsellers list. I've worked with just about every of the major publishers out there, Simon & Schuster, Dromanauer, Replica in Poland, here in the States, HarperCollins, you name it. But there's an inherent problem in publishing today, both for authors and for readers. And that deals with digital publication. I mean, number one, contracts are heavily slanted to publishers. Authors make very little off the work they actually produce. But then we go and we sell it to the readers, and in particularly in digital form, that creates another problem because the readers don't own the actual products they're buying. I've had more than 1 million people buy a copy of one of my Templar Chronicles books. And none of those people own those books. They can't resell them. They can't pass them along to someone else. I don't make any more money when they secondhand sell them, if they could sell them, so there's this inherent issue that sent me kind of looking for something better, something new, in the summer of 2022. And I just heard about blockchain. I just started to understand the technology and how it might be used. And I really wondered, well, what can blockchain do for my publishing career? Can I use that to reach a new group of people or produce a new product? And so I started digging about, and I found a few companies at the time who were experimenting in that area. but I was really unhappy with most of what they produced. You know, they were EPUBs just thrown up on the blockchain with no real protection, and you know, pictures that could be easily downloaded for covers and that kind of stuff. And that to me isn't the, you know, the true form of a digital collectible. And then I stumbled upon Book.io, which is a company that produces digital collectible literary properties. Right now, they're doing it in 3 different chains: Cardano, Ethereum, and Algorand. But their main base, their main customers come from Cardano. And I really like that. You know, I saw it as a stable platform. I saw it as one that makes it easy to you know, sell product and not have exorbitant gas fees and things of that nature. So I started talking with them about, you know, what it would be to bring one of my books out as a limited collectible NFT edition on the Cardano blockchain. And so we did that first in October of 2022. My novel, The Heretic, the first book in my Templar Chronicles series, was released. I was the first major author that they had done. Book.io had been doing a lot of, you know, public domain releases of classics and things of that nature, but, you know, they decided to branch out and let's bring in some living authors. So I was one of those people. And so in October of 2022, we released 2,746 NFTs of my novel, The Heretic. And we made them digital collectibles by having 10 different styles of covers and made those covers of limited scarcity. So, you know, some of the covers only had 1 edition of that cover. Some of the covers had, you know, 200 editions of that cover. And so we sold out in 43 seconds. So that told me, hey, there's a possible market here. There's a whole group of people that I have not worked with and interacted with and haven't had the opportunity to reach with my normal publishing efforts that are interested in this kind of product. So as time has gone on, you know, we made a plan to release all 12 books in my Templar Chronicles series, and to date, we've done 5 of them. We sold the first 2, and then we airdropped the 3rd one as a gift to everyone who had bought the first 2. And then we've gone on to sell books 4 and 5 as well. In total, it's about 8,000 NFTs that we've done since we started. And I'm absolutely thrilled with the process. It gives me, you know, a new market group, a new group of customers that I can reach. It allows them to actually own the digital product that they've bought, which is huge for me. You know, I think if I buy something, I should own it. You know, it's basic, you know, economics. And so the fact that they actually do own that product and then can resell it and make money from their sales is great for my audience. There's also now, for the first time ever, a secondary market for authors who can then earn you know, a bit of a royalty off those secondary sales as customers pass it on to someone who might you know, enjoy it when they're done. It gives me a chance to get some readership data, which I never had the opportunity to before. You know, Amazon holds all the data, you know, tight to the chest. I have no idea who my customers are over there. There's a million of them, I know that, but I don't know who those people are. And so I can't reach out to them. I can't form a relationship with them. I can't make, you know, give them special offers or, you know, try to reward them for being one of my customers for the last 20 years. All those things are something that publishing books on the blockchain allow me to do. And that's not even getting into the, you know, the aspects of creativity where I can create books just for my customers. I can add additional content into those books, whether it's art, whether it's, you know, interviews, whether it's video. Allows me to build a really enhanced product that I couldn't have done before. So, you know, frankly, I'm just having a blast. I have just found I love this stuff. And I'm looking for new and different ways to bring out more material on the blockchain. And I've found in Book.io a terrific partner. You know, I intend to work with them as long as they'll work with me, because I've actually been thrilled with the way they've handled everything. So it's been a great journey over the last year.
Wonderful. I never thought of this use case of adding the personal note into the book. That's a brilliant one.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I'm actually working on some annotated editions of my books. So where the reader gets to read the actual text, but then they get my production notes, you know, this is why I did this particular scene, or this is how this scene connects to another scene. And for those folks who, you know, just really love reading, really want to get into why a story was written and why choices were made, I think that'll be a product that people will enjoy.
Wow.
This
Cool.
is so exciting. You know, you hear about book.io, you read it in X, you see their website, etc. But to talk and interact with an author, you know, that went through that journey, as you did it today, and yeah, from your perspective, explain the advantages and yeah, this topic of ownership. It is exciting, yeah, and I hope the community, when they see the video, the people that are here, you know, realize how big this is. And yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, and it's really nice that you could manage to join us today. Really, really happy. We also understand you have a big surprise for the participants today. And yeah, we will come to that. But first, let's take some few more questions, I would say.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat from Doug. If you want to ask it directly. Yeah,
Doug,
I
this is it.
yeah, Doug. Do you want us to read it? Okay.
Can you tell us more about how your covers were made?
Sure. The first two books were done by the in-staff artist Billy at Book.io. They're all generated through Midjourney and then, you know, fiddled a bit with in Photoshop to get the exact look that we want. Books 3 through 5, the covers were all done by me using the same process. Once I figured out how to use AI to my benefit, I wanted to make sure I could get the art as close to some of the images and scenes from the books that I could. And so I had a great time working with Billy. I think he's a fabulous artist, but I'm a hands-on kind of guy and wanted to dive in myself as well. So I've used his process to continue to create the art. Every piece of art for the covers either is a character or a scene from the books, and they're all kind of bundled in different categories. So you can collect the covers for a particular book or collect the categories across books. So for instance, every book that we've put out has a category where the various supernatural creatures from the story are represented in the cover art. So if you wanted to create a collection of just the supernatural elements for each story, you could do that. The main characters are all represented as art. So if you wanted to collect all the characters, you could do that. So it allows those people who, you know, are digital collectors to create their own collections in the ways that they enjoy best. And then the scarcity aspect, you know, allows certain books to be valued a little higher than some of the other books. I think they're all valuable the same way, but you know, I'm a little biased, so I've really enjoyed that aspect to it. It's kind of like creating trading cards for your book, you know, and it's been really fun to do.
Very cool.
Very cool. This is awesome. So actually, if we don't have any other questions, I think what you did is now you are raving about Books.io, and if you've been writing so much and telling so much about this, and you've seen a lot of publishers,
Yeah.
So I think you basically share your own experience and can say, okay, this is a thing that people could trust, if I understand this right.
Yeah, I would highly recommend them. They have been working with a number of authors since their launch. I want to say 2 years ago. It hasn't been that long. Might even only be a year ago. But they're also building a self-publishing platform so that authors can come in and produce their own work. They have a token that just launched, the book token, and that token is actually a utility token that allows people to earn tokens for reading the books that book has produced. That token can be used to publish books on their platform as a Cardano title. And it also incentivizes, you know, authors to sell books in that token. And so they've added this kind of, read to earn process within their own ecosystem that I think makes it even more encouraging and more interesting as an author and as a reader to utilize their platform. So yeah, I've been very happy. I have not been shy about, shouting their praises as I've gone on through the last year of working with them. If you're an author, you're interested in doing NFT editions of your books, especially collectible limited editions, I would highly recommend that you reach out and talk to them. They're more than happy to talk to people.
Yeah, but the wait list is pretty long, I think, as an author. With that,
Yes, as I understand it, right now they have 1,200 authors on that wait list. So the word has spread pretty quickly. I was very happy to have gotten in very, very early. I'm an impatient person. I don't like to wait. So, but I think the wait is worth it.
So it helps to keep informed.
Yes.
There is another question from the audience saying, do your manuscripts reside on the IPFS? So this IP file system?
Sure. What Book does is Book creates what they call DEAs, decentralized encrypted assets. So basically they take that EPUB file and they break it into shards and distribute it. And so right now, in the early stages of their production, they have an in-house reader, both on iOS and on Android, that then goes out, collects those pieces, reforms them into a book, and allows you to read them on your phone, on your Kindle, what have you. That was the big difference between some of the other players in the market when I first started looking at them. Whereas, this is a bit more secure. Their goal is to take that in-house reader and create it to be a public reader, so that if Book ever folded, you would still have access to all your books and be able to, access and read them and all that kind of stuff. So they're in that process. They have an absolutely fabulous white paper out that explains where they started, where they are now, and where they're going, particularly with regard to the technology they're using. And I would highly recommend, if anybody's interested in that, go out to that white paper. It talks about all their discussions with major league publishers, the fact that they've partnered with Ingram, the largest distributor on the planet, and with Bertelsmann, one of the largest media companies on the planet, and the fact that they're backed by Mark Cuban and all that kind of information that really sets them up to be a major player, not just now, but well into the future. And so, if interest in the tech space, in the tech issues is something, I would go read that white paper. I am the least technical person on this call today, so I can answer, but that's as good as the answer gets.
I think it helps if you would rewrite it in your style.
Like a novel, yeah.
With that, I would love to go on to Alex, because
Yes.
I know she's also really busy, and I'm really, really excited that you made it today. Joe, thank you so much. Feel invited anytime.
Yeah,
Anytime.
and Joe, we will do the raffle after Alex's
Sure.
presentation, and then to all the people that unfortunately had to leave, the question is it okay for you if we keep them in the raffle
Yeah. Oh yeah.
wheel? Okay, good.
Yeah, they took the time to be here. I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
So welcome, Alex.
Yeah, nice to have you here.
Hey, I made it.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank
My
you.
mornings are insane, but I did it. Woo!
Hey.
So I met you via Twitter, and you're doing this wonderful podcast there. Is it even legal? And you do it in a very natural way, and I'm very, very impressed by that. And maybe you can just tell the people about yourself, the experience that you have or had also. And because some of those people who are here don't know that you have been an SEC attorney before, so you literally know what what you're talking about, and you have the experience, the field experience as well, and what you do with the founders when they join you. And yeah, I just love the spaces. I just re-listen them when I can, and yeah, they're great.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I'm a lawyer in the US, and I used to work at the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I worked at a big firm in their New York and Chicago offices. And then I headed a practice, and I had my own practice. And then I moved into products. So I founded a biotech and a related CPG company, consumer packaged goods, mostly just because I wasn't from academia or industry, and so I couldn't get anyone to talk to me. So I just created this other company to show that there was demand for this product. But my first customer was Disney, so it moved very fast. And then I eventually sold the biotech company. I kept the underlying CPG company because it had my daughter's name attached to it and her image, so didn't sell it. And then in 2016, I moved into blockchain, and it was originally to build a product which was to take out a group of people who are privileged. They have asymmetric information, and I tried to get them regulated out of existence from the time that I was at the SEC, and they're grandfathered in. It was a long process of trying to figure out why these people are allowed to operate as like why they're allowed to participate in markets with asymmetric information. And at the end of the day, it's because we let them, which I thought was fundamentally unfair. So I wanted to create a solution for that, and blockchain technology was available, and I thought this is perfect. Unfortunately, it was just Bitcoin and Ethereum at the time, and Ethereum was super slow. It was just not going to happen at that time. So even though we had a team and we were coding, I just said, this is not going to work. But at the time, I was one of the few people that actually understood operations and understood the regulatory environment. So people started asking me to help them out with their projects and help them. I started speaking on stages, and I started helping out with a bunch of different projects. And mostly I had a lot of people telling me how horrible a person I was, because I was saying these ICOs that everybody's doing, that's bad. And I was literally booed on stage a number of times. And I said, guys, be careful. And then the crypto winter came, and then people started calling me a lot. And then their SAFs were very popular, and I said, those are not good. And then a lot more, started happening with the SEC, and then people started calling me more. It just takes a while for people to realize that just because people have done something in an industry doesn't mean that it's legal or compliant, or even the best way to do something. There are so many better ways to do things. So since then, I've just been an advisor to a bunch of different projects, and including like an exchange and a couple of funds, and then a publisher asked me to write a book on DeFi, and I said okay, because I hadn't written a book at that point. Probably wouldn't have otherwise, but that's okay. It's done, and it'll be out at the beginning of the year, and that's very exciting. And so that's what I do, and I speak all over, like Web Summit. I speak a lot in Europe and in the US and Canada. So that's what I do.
And you have a course.
Yeah, I have courses now too, because so I speak, but I'm limited in time and when I can speak. So I have work obligations, and I also have kids. So I have very limited periods of time where I can speak. And so I used to speak a lot on Clubhouse. Clubhouse imploded. So then I started speaking on X. It's very difficult to find times where I can speak. And so I've created courses where you can learn all sorts of things. So originally I was just teaching blockchain, and then I realized that people couldn't really learn the blockchain well because they didn't understand the other parts that you need to know for blockchain. So you don't need to just understand the technology, you need to understand economics, finance, and how people move in groups. And so I pulled back and started doing finance courses, started teaching people in plain language all about finance. because everybody needs to own assets. The economy, when people say the economy is great, they don't mean the economy is great for hourly workers. Like it's great, it's easy for you to go and buy a lot of products at the grocery store. That is not what a great economy is. A great economy is basically based on asset holders. So is the stock market doing well? Are bond markets doing well? That's what the good economy is. And people who don't hold assets are being left behind further and further as time goes on. So what people don't understand is that anybody who earns a salary or an hourly wage, whether you're freelance, you're a gig worker, you're being paid with a contract or salary, you're earning a third of what you should be earning. And I talk about that in my finance course. The courses are like, minimum of 5 hours for the mini courses, discussing the difference between assets versus currency, how to value Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because people don't know how to value these things. The finance course is everything like figuring out your risk profile, what portfolio theory is, how to determine risk, and what tools to use in purchasing stock, bonds, and crypto, which is what's in a healthy portfolio. And I never tell people what to buy. I just give them the tools and help them understand how to make decisions for themselves. So if you take the finance course, we're going to be doing a group activity, a group investment activity. So you'll learn how to become like the investment manager in teams, so that everybody can have a role at that and not feel overwhelmed, because it's a lot, right, to learn this stuff when we didn't learn it as kids. But you'll learn how to read financial statements, what markers are used for crypto versus stock. But if you don't understand the stuff for stock, you can't really compare crypto as an asset if you don't understand stock. So I've also done, the biggest problem that we have now is that people in crypto, or in blockchain in general, aren't operating, most of them, right, are not operating businesses. They're doing short-term projects. People are thinking very short-term. And what they need to do is build startups with no end date in mind. And I don't care where your project is, if it's in NFTs, DeFi, whatever, you've got to build a long-term project. And most of them don't have business backgrounds. We've got a lot of very young people in this space who have not had any experience, even like being an employee in business. They don't have a lot of background in it. So I started working, which is what I originally came into social audio for, which is to help founders. That's what people that's what they usually want help with. So I started doing another series that is Idea to Exit, which is going to be a course also. It's literally everything you need to know, like finding co-founders. Do you need one? How do you deal with, finding your problem and then finding your solution? How do you know what technology to use for your solution? And, all sorts of different issues there. We just finished go to market. We're doing scaling next. We've done, it's very detailed, practical information. And again, no prior knowledge is required. All of this is really to make sure that this space grows in a really healthy format, because when you think about it, people compare this a lot to Web 2 or the original internet, right? But the thing is, we had people who were like in their 40s building in the internet, and they had business experience. They also weren't, very averse to the government, but mostly they understood how to build businesses. They understood revenue models. They understood how to draw customers in. They understood recurring customers and things like that. They understood CAC and all these other things that are core concepts that are not really prevalent in blockchain yet, but need to be. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and I think you do it very well, because one thing I have to 100% agree with is that people think because it's called Web3, the traditional system doesn't exist anymore. The traditional legal framework doesn't exist anymore. And as you said, most of them building businesses without knowing that they're actually building businesses from a legal standpoint. And what I saw is when we have, for example, stake pools, I said, in Germany, you have to have an imprint that states the status of your legal business, that you're actually operating a business, and that you have to be to abide, I think that's the English word, to the data privacy or data privacy or GDPR. And when I posted that, people would say, yeah, but we're decentralized. And I said, no, you're 3 people living in different places. That's not decentralized. And you're running a business. No, I'm running something that is powering the blockchain. Yeah, but you getting rewards for that. That's a business, right? So, and this can be much more granular, of course, but that's what I like about it, because you make it, as you said, understandable in plain English. And you said, correct me if I'm wrong, tokens are not stocks. They're not company stocks at no means. Is that, did I quote that?
No, they can function the way that stock does, right? But they have other functions as well. This is one of the core issues that isn't really addressed when we fight the SEC. We're fighting the completely wrong battle. And I don't know if you want to get into that discussion, but tokens, the way that they're done right now, are primarily being used as securities. That's what most people are doing. And people are, what I hear mostly are people who are very upset using, wanting to use these tokens as fundraising, and wanting to be able to do this without having to comply. And a lot of the people who are retail investors agreeing to that, even though it makes it easier to rug, right? It makes it easier to get scammed, because who does the information really benefit if it's a security? The information is supposed to benefit the investors, right? So it's like, I don't, it can be compliant with the SEC or not, but I need to know who's involved. And I need to know, what's your revenue model? Like, what are you building? And it's like, just because you don't want to comply with the SEC doesn't mean that you're not obligated to tell me something if you want me to invest. We have too many investors. So there's like not enough information on both the founders or the investor side. And we have too many investors who are treating the investments that they make as if they're lucky to be in those investments. And I try to tell investors, you have the money. That's the power. You need to demand more from the founders. The founders, for their part, I actually think there are far fewer rugs than people think there are. I think what happens is a lot of people go into this and they don't realize that building a business is a long-term endeavor. And what you're doing is creating something, ideally, that you can remove yourself from. You're trying to create this crucible of high risk, low cost, very valuable thing, right? That only some people get access to. They get cheap access to it because it is very, very risky. And that is basically because statistically, we know that the first few years of any endeavor's lifespan are the most risky, right? We know that it's most likely to fail. Most companies fail. Why do they fail? Honestly, founders. It's like the bad idea is like number 5. It's usually founder error in a lot of different ways. And I've talked extensively about that. So really what you're doing when you're investing early is you're saying, I'm going to take a bet on the value of your company in some form. It could be a token, it could be equity, it could be whatever. I'm going to take a bet on your company, a cheap bet. And I'm going to do that because when I'm betting on a portion of your company, and I'm going to buy a portion very cheaply because I know that, or I suspect that your company is going to grow in value. And then at some point, we're going to have an exit event. And what happens at an exit event? And this is one of the things that I don't think people in Web3 think about enough. What is that thing that happens at an IPO or an acquisition? What happens is you're transferring something that is de-risked. you're transferring your equity or your tokens or whatever. You're transferring something that was very risky and so very cheap. Later on, it has been proven to be de-risked, right? So now it's more successful. It has full of value. So now you're transferring something de-risked and high priced to a new buyer. That's what you're doing. When you're selling it, you're selling something way more expensive because it's much more valuable and de-risked. That's why you make a lot of money. It is the de-risking process that gives you so much of that value. But what's happening in Web3 with this idea, which I think was stupid as hell, this idea of liquidating value at the very beginning, before anything happens with these blockchains, all it does is leak out a ton of value to people, right? So there's no chance for value to accrue that's risky private value that accrues and then is released, and a bunch of people become extremely wealthy, right? They get an exit. There's no exit, right? All that's happening with a lot of these launches of tokens, et cetera, is the founders and some developers, right, are getting a little bit of money. But when you think about the money that they could have had they waited and developed the project properly, they're getting about 1/10 at least of the money that are, like, at most, right? It's like 1/10 of the money that they would have gotten had they kept it and actually, you know, created that crucible of de-risking value. They're not doing that, right? So when we think about what we're doing is we're leaking out hundreds of millions of dollars with every one of these IPO transactions that happens way too soon. That's what's happening here. We would have millionaires, lots of them at this point, had we actually had investors that were able to buy cheaply, stay with it while the project was being de-risked, and then everybody exit. What else happens during this crucible of de-risking? It forces the founders to stay, right? So when we have this problem of founders leaving too early before they build enough value, why? They've already had an exit event. There's not enough incentive to stay. And that's something that we learned historically in every other industry, which is vesting schedules. That must happen. Why? Because it's too tempting to say, you know what, I got value out of this. Maybe I'll get more. I won't sell it all. Maybe I'll get more if you guys do well. But you know what? Running a company is hard work. It's really hard, super hard. That's why so few companies succeed. It's really, really hard. So we're doing so much right now that's basically cheating people out of a lot of money. And also we're basically encouraging companies to not reach their potential. So what ends up happening is you have a lot of very young founders who've never worked in a company. They don't really know the grind, right? They know variety, which is what happens in school, right? You've got variety every semester, things change. And it's hard to get acclimated to grind, but you need to understand the years of grind. So we've got young founders who aren't really acclimated to grind, who work really hard, a very deep sprint for months for a drop. And then they want to stop. Right? They feel like, I have funds. Now I want to stop. That's not a stopping point. That's a starting point. Now you've officially made a commitment to investors. Now you have to build, right? But what they don't understand is that they need to actually now build so that they have a company that they can then exit from and remove themselves from the company. That's the other thing an exit does. It allows the company to grow enough that other people can come in, like it starts to become more of a bureaucracy. Other people can come in and substitute the everything hat-wearing people that the founders are. So the founders can leave, take a huge amount of rewards, which they deserve, right? And then then they become the investors to new companies. That is how like venture that's venture and angel funding. That is how that cycle works. And that's something that we haven't yet built in here, and we should have at this point, but we haven't, because we don't have enough people that really understand how this cycle is supposed to work. We need to build companies that solve real problems. They need to understand the 3 main use cases of blockchain. They need to solve problems that address those use cases. They need to make sure that they have founders that are incentivized to stay until there's a functioning company, and that they don't leak out value early, because then there's no incentive for anyone to stick with it. So there's just a lot that's still, not quite there. But tokens are like token launching and offering tokens. That's not a revenue model. Revenue is what you earn when you put your solution into the world. Unless you're planning on issuing tokens all the time, every day, and that's the solution that you offer, right? Which it could be, if that's like, you're issuing tokens in order to do something on your chain. It could be part of your solution. But otherwise, these giant token offerings for fundraising, those are not revenue models, right? That's not what you're doing to earn revenue. I know this is like a spiel. I'm so sorry. I'm like, you can cut it all short. But it's like, this is what I'm trying to do every day. I'm like, come on, people, we can do this. We can do this. We can make this space awesome. We just have to, get a little more education in there. Yeah.
Somebody to
Alex,
say that.
thank you so much for sharing all those insights. Now, from the European perspective, I would have a question to you. I don't know if you can answer it, but there is this MiCA regulation, markets and crypto assets, which is focusing a lot on, let's say, stable coins and also utility tokens. How do you see that regulation being either an advantage for Europe as a continent, as a geographical region, or do you see it's not enough what is being described there?
I mean, well, MiCA was required, or Mika, I guess is what you usually pronounce it. It was required, right? This is part of what happened with FATF, right? With that, what was it, recommendation, I want to say 26, I don't know if that's right, but it was required. There's 200 jurisdictions that are obligated to bring on some regulations, and I have been talking about this for more than a year. And that is what they did, right? And the payment stablecoin thing, that is actually a part of making sure that that fiat isn't undermined. So there's 2 different issues that are happening. So the KYC AMF AML, making sure that they're tracking everybody, and the re-regulations for VASPs and stuff like that. All of that is an international obligation where there's not going to be any jurisdiction shopping eventually. Ordinarily, FATF, to which, again, there are so many members that are, there's like 30 signatory countries, but then the rest are observers that have agreed to adopt whatever FATF offers. Ordinarily, they're recommendations, but this one was made mandatory. So this is to prevent people from doing jurisdiction shopping. So we're seeing them being implemented terribly slowly, but over multiple jurisdictions, and we're going to be seeing that. So for MiCA, it gives us the advantage of seeing what is working and what isn't, right? So we get to look at it and say, this kind of process worked if you have this structure, right? But if you don't have this legal structure, it might not work. It gives us the advantage of seeing what works and what doesn't, and gives some predictability. So that's something. And in the US, we just had now the first the Treasury recommendations, where there was this tweet that came out a week ago that was aghast. I have in my grubby paws these Treasury, recommendations for new laws, and I can't believe they're going to change the whole system. Look, bro, you stupid crypto bro. I have been talking about this for more than a year. They are completely anticipated. We know exactly what they're going to look like. We're already obligated to take them on, and I made it the topic of my keynote in Web Summit 2022. So none of these are new. We know exactly what they're supposed to look like. The payment stablecoin thing is going to be problematic for people in crypto. And here's what we're seeing right now with how payment stablecoins are coming out. I'm sorry, did you want to say something? I think I had a lag.
No, sorry. It was just my nose.
Oh, okay. So the payment, I didn't mean to. So the payment stablecoin thing is going to be interesting because here's what we're seeing with the US. So we had a stablecoin rule that was proposed. We don't have a vote on it. Unfortunately, the person who was the most pro crypto is going to be retiring from the House. So we'll have to see who takes over from there. We had several different bills that were proposed. And one of the ones that all these bills relied on this one payment stablecoin bill, which essentially required all stablecoins to be essentially derived from banks, right? Banks issued stablecoins. It was or credit unions. It is possible for non-bank entities to issue stable coins. That would be anyone in blockchain, right? To issue a stable coin, but they would be subject to much, much, much higher regulation. And it's kind of hidden in part of that bill, but it's completely not equal, right? So the regulation of the bank ones are basically, well, you're subject to, like Graham Leach Bliley, the banking rules. And then for the credit unions, it's basically the credit union rules. But for the other entities, it would be the banking rules plus additional significant oversight. So there's definitely a disadvantage for stable coins that are issued in the blockchain sphere, on top of which I have no idea how they would do that sort of oversight if it's issued by a truly decentralized entity, if it is generated, for example, by an algorithmic entity. So I don't know how that would actually work, because you can't submit the kind of documentation that GLB, Graham Leach Bliley, would require in that scenario. So there would have to be something else put in place in order to generate the required reports. But if it's literally all automated, what are you going to do about that? And so we've already seen the impact of older regulations working with automation, where we have people who are put in place in places where, like, when you have, for example, AMM, like automated market makers, there are still people in places where you don't really need them, primarily to make sure that reports get filed. So that's kind of what ends up happening, is that they put people artificially, which is actually a link for fraud. People commit fraud. Machines by themselves don't commit fraud, right? They have errors, but they don't commit fraud.
Without even knowing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
We have to keep the time in mind.
Sorry.
I would stay, but you have to.
Yeah, I'm like, I could talk about this forever. I have so much to say.
And I love that.
Yeah.
You need to repeat this, someday.
Yeah, if you feel welcome anytime if you want to. And as I said already, I can highly recommend everybody to follow you. And if people, you said you're also speaking in Europe, you're speaking in the US. If people want to find you, you have your website. We have the links down below the video, guys. But if people want to see you on stage or something, or is that only for private companies? How does this work?
No, well, hopefully I'll be at Viva Tech again next year. With that's in Paris in the summer, and we'll see. Like, next year's not really set up yet, but I'm working on it. I'm open, right? But the issue that I have is I have 2 children.
Yeah,
so,
we all know that one. It's a hard task.
Like, I see people are like, I'm speaking here and I'm speaking there and I'm speaking there. And I'm like, how do you do that with like the school schedule and, you know, making sure, because my kids usually want to go on some of these at least. And so it's, you know, a little bit harder to schedule. So they're like, they get really excited when I have one during a break, but, you know, and then scheduling it with my husband's work, it's just a mess. So you know, all the people who are like running down to Art Basel, people, you know, telling me, oh, are you there? And I'm like, I have a family. Like, does nobody have a family? Like everybody is, then they go to A Fest and they go to all these places. And I'm like, who has a family here? Am I the only person?
No, all of them here. Yeah, all of us.
Yay, thank you. Yeah. I feel like I'm so sad. I don't get to go to all of these things. Here's what it is.
Here, come here. We have a raffle now from Joseph. He's raffling out I think it's 3 of your books, right? If you have do you have a Cardano address, Alex, that you want to share? Then you can share it also in the DM later if you like to. If you want to participate on the raffle, you're invited. Just say yes, then Ricardo will add you to the raffle.
I think I added you already, the name.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I saw my name. So yeah.
And good luck to everybody. Except Davide, Ricardo, and myself. We're gonna go and cry because we can't.
That's not fair.
All right, guys. Can you see my screen actually?
Yes.
All right, Joe, I think it would be important that we keep the sequence. Is this the first book of the series?
It is. Yep, that's The Heretic.
Very good. Okay, so how we're going to do this, basically here with the wheel of names, I have added everybody that joined today. So thank you so much for joining. And once one person has won one of the 3 books that we'll be raffling today, we will remove that entry from the wheel. And then after the event, we will contact you so that you can share with us your receiving address. It would be better actually for us if you could go ahead and type it in a DM or in the chat so that we have it clearly documented who belongs to which name. But yeah, some of the people unfortunately left already. So we will, try to make it as transparent and fair as possible.
And we also have our Discord server where you can reach out to us and communicate your address if you.
Exactly.
This is also an invite for everybody who presented today. Join our Discord server if you want to. We have a little project section so our members can find you. We're currently having 360 people around about. So this might be a new market for you that is in a very casual environment.
Very good. All right, Joe, can I get a 3, 2, 1 countdown from you?
My pleasure. 3, 2, 1, go.
That is Newman, no?
All right, Newman. So congratulations, you won the Heretic book. Very cool. All right, so the next
Happy
one.
holidays.
Yeah, the next one would be Angels, right?
Correct. The Scream of Angels.
The Scream of Angels. So let's see. So I will remove Newman now. Let's see who is going to win this time. All right, Joe.
3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
Good at this.
My true talent.
Wow, Alex.
Wow, Alex.
Hey,
Yay, me.
there you go.
Very cool. All right, so
I think don't read it to your kids. I think, or is it?
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
All right.
Teen it up.
Right. And then we have a tear in the sky, number 318, and the winner will be
3, 2, 1, go.
Eduardo.
Eduardo. Yay!
Hey.
Congratulations, everybody. And Joe, thank you
Nice.
so much for spending time with us today, and also for sharing the assets that are going to be distributed to these 3 lucky people. As
My
Mark
pleasure.
mentioned, we excluded the team from the raffle, and yeah, we're very happy that yeah, we could reach to more and more people in Europe, and I hope we can see you, the audience, in our Discord server, exchange opinions, ask questions, reach out, connect between the projects. So it was an amazing town hall and fireside chat. I'm very happy to be here, and appreciate the time from everybody who joined today.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very
It's
much.
amazing.
Thank
I
you,
think we
Thanks
guys.
so
should
much.
Take care.
make like a clone of you.
Thank you very much.